So innovation has permeated all our lives, especially during COVID, where we've learned new hacks, so to say. We might not categorize it as innovation, but guess what? It actually is. Innovation is actually an opportunity for businesses to progress even further. In fact, even our Indian government devotes a significant aspect of our budget towards R&D, as well as private companies. So today we are discussing innovation in food retail. As interesting and as relatable as this topic is, we also have a very dense panel here of experts, not by virtue of numbers, but by virtue of the knowledge they carry firsthand. So with that, let's welcome all our panelists with a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. So let's begin our conversation with you, Mr. Singh. Since we're talking about innovation and food and retail, of course, how has innovation helped you establish your brand?
So, QSR is an exceptionally competitive segment. We've predominantly dominated by, the bigger boys from the Western world, the McDonald's, the Burger King. We're in a very competitive market, especially the segment that we are in, Burger King. So innovation for us is bread and butter. We got to do it on a daily basis because for us it means saving as much manpower, as much time, and of course as much money at the end of the day. So we've kind of work backwards and say, hey man, how am I going to save money, right? And be able to compete with guys who've got 600 crores, 800 crores to spend a year on both marketing and capex. So, it's been quite a journey in the sense when we started off, in 2014, our objective was to be a delivery play only. Now you're hearing of a lot of cloud kitchens, but 2014, I think what our aim was that I wanted to be the McDonald's of burgers as far as the business model was concerned, which is, small format, multiple location, road facing signages, but the food comes to you and it comes to you in 30 minutes. And we wanted to kind of price it slightly away from the McDonald's and the Burger King zone, which is, in those days you were sending at about $350 a burger. And we were in Gurgaon, so things were happy. And we did well for a year and a half, raised funds, things were good. But the thing about innovation is that the world hits you left and right and you got to kind of keep moving on your feet. So say 2018, Zomato and Swiggy raised $1 billion each, right? And suddenly our delivery only strategy wasn't defensible anymore because everybody was delivering, right? So then we had no choice but to kind of pivot back to a cheaper burger, open dine-in stores and come into direct competition with McDonald's and Burger King. And so we had to kind of sit down and kind of, rewire our entire product because bringing a product price from $350 a burger and today we start our burgers at 39 rupees has been quite a journey in self-discovery and being cheap. And in my mind, innovation for us is, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at the hiring level. It doesn't stop at product development. So that's about it.
Okay, and Mr. Chauhan, what about you? How are you using innovation to build your business?
So, good evening, everyone. When it comes to innovation, basically I represent two brands and it's very interesting. One of them is B2C, which is Fab Cafe Foods Private Limited. And of course, in that case, innovation is very evident in terms of the menu that has been designed, which we had done pre-COVID, in fact, in terms of targeting health. When you say health, also I wouldn't say it's so from an innovation perspective. Being a chef, my first route to innovation was about the food that you could do. So basically, not using alt ingredients as far as that is concerned. So maybe the first ones to do a jackfruit flour chapati, for example. To do a momo without using the wheat as a skin for the filling. That part of innovation, yes, of course. You need to. I personally believe that innovation can be of two kinds in terms of one is one is a need based. Now the thing is, and the other is opportunity based, for example. So Fab Cafe is a need based, but I also represent another company. It's one of the other startups that not a startup, basically a company that I run as well, which is Chefs United Foods, which is a B2B company. What it does, for example, and that is where I'm saying it's not necessarily that innovation has to be creating something new. It's also about being able to identify the gap. And the gap that we had identified, for example, being a chef, is that in hotels, if you have food today, if you look at the quality of the food that the hotels are churning out, it's not of high quality or of high standard. And it's evident from the fact that when you order food from outside, you usually end up ordering food from one of the restaurants, or hotel does a good job as far as their food is concerned, if it's a specialty restaurant within that hotel. So what we do, for example, is we give them, and we are the only company in India which is giving a solution of around 50 products to the hotel, where for chefs, it is a Maggie making process for them. And, we realized that this is one art form which you cannot gain by means of just looking at videos or by just reading books. To cook and to create, you have to use your hand, and a lot of experience counts. And this is one, and I'm sure both my fellow panelists will agree, the fact that this is one art which is not taught. And you end up, the problem is that you end up losing your job if you're teaching. That's what the thought process is. But yes, coming back to the innovation part, what we ensured is that we give this solution to hotels. And as we speak, we are supporting Holiday Inn Express hotels, Ibis hotels, we are supporting Marriott hotels. In fact, we have tied up with Shudh Gadwal, for example, in Delhi NCR they are carrying our products for all hotels as we speak. But yes, that is a big, I feel that this need is not only for the hotels, but this need there's a big need of a similar kind of approach to give this solution to a housewife, for example. Imagine that you have these products available for a housewife, or for that matter, anybody who's cooking, even a kid. You don't need a recipe for a Maggie, right? You just cook it. So via QCOM platforms, the moment we give them this solution, it's practically, you will be able to, any Kashmiri housewife will be able to cook a chettinad, in a matter of 10 minutes, for example. So that's what it is all also about. It's not just, you need to be innovative, you need to do something new. I think, I personally feel that, you kind of identify with the changing times if you are able to identify the need. And I think today, if we see the businesses in totality, need-based businesses are the biggest businesses, whether you talk about Google or Facebook or, Ola, Uber. These are all need-based businesses. Over to my dear friend, Amit.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So, I'll talk about myself first. So, I'm Amit Bagga. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Daryaganj Hospitality. We own this brand called Daryaganj by the inventors of butter chicken and dal makhani. So I'll tell you a bit about my story as well. So, I came from a different background. From my family was into business of automobiles, but I was always passionate about getting into restaurants. So I started about 13, 14 years back. I started with my journey with opening a few bars. Then over a period of time, I realized that, that bars are not a very stable business, and, it's not something which lasts for too long. The trends keep changing. So I decided, 4 or 5 years back, when I was, thinking what to do different. So I realized that if I have to be doing something in the F&B industry and I want a bigger because our big vision was to create something big. It has to be something which is food-based, which is based on food. Maybe a few learnings I had, which I applied. One was that you do a family restaurant, which is has a more loyalty. Do a restaurant which is not too big, maybe about 1,800, 2,000 square feet compared for a CDR model. Then a few other learnings that, okay, go for the North Indian segment. And all these ideas were, coming in my mind. And then I, met my childhood friend Raghav Jaggi, who lives in New York. He was in Delhi, and his grandfather is the inventor of butter chicken dal makhani, and he invented it in 1947. He opened a restaurant in this area called Daryaganj, and that's where he invented butter chicken and dal makhani. It was a very interesting story today. So in fact, we talk about innovation. Today, butter chicken dal makhani is available on every single menu of any restaurant in the world. But that time, 1941, it was no innovation that they did. It was interesting that he just took whatever. So, it just came out of a need. There's some guests came into the restaurant. They said, okay, we want something to eat. They only had some tandoori chicken, which was already being served in the restaurant. So what do we make, do something right now immediately to serve so many people here, because we don't have much left. So there's, okay, so his grandfather, Mr. Kundala Jaggi, said, let me just find whatever's in the kitchen. He found some tomatoes. He cut the tomatoes. We took some butter, took some chilies, took some ginger. We put all of it together and cooked tandoori chicken in it and just created butter chicken by chance. And now it's a classic. That time it was actually modern food. That time. It's coming back to the concept. So
necessity is the mother of innovation.
Yes, necessity is the mother of invention. So then coming back to when we started our first restaurant 4 years back, Daryaganj in Aero City. It was a runaway success, and touch wood, we got a great response. We were doing very well. We signed a second outlet, which opened in 10 months after that. We opened a third outlet, which opened in 11 months after that. The 12th month, COVID happened, and that was quite a tough period, because we didn't know what's happening, what we're doing, and before that we had only decided to open a casual dining restaurant, which is a CDR model, and focus on dine-in, because we don't want to go for the delivery model ever. That was our plan. So, but yeah, the plans change always when the COVID happened, and a few months. I think that was best period for me to learn in life. I've realized that 4 months or 3 months of which I was at home, that was a complete transformation for me, because I got so much time to spend, and got so much free time, no pressure, nowhere to go, no responsibilities. There's so many things I went through and got, I feel I really polished my skills, learned a lot of different things. Then I, was thinking what to do. I have to do something different here. And so I went back to the time when I was opening this restaurant, Daryaganj. I thought, so when you in a restaurant, whenever you go, you always say there is when you either you feel good about it or bad about it, you say it's a good vibe or bad vibe. There's nothing. People will say, okay, we feel good or we don't feel good. So I said, there's something science around it. Let's break it up and let's decode that reason why people don't feel a good vibe or bad vibe. It's about, it's about the 5 human senses. That experience goes in those 5 senses. It subconsciously makes up the whole experience, and it's either good or bad. It just comes out of, the feeling comes out. And I think restaurant industry is the only industry where you can touch all 5 senses. In retail, you might not be able to touch, maybe a showroom, you won't be able to touch the sense of taste, because people will not be eating at that store. But in this, all 5 senses are covered. So I said, okay, now when we enter our restaurant, the moment you enter, there's a certain whiff of a fragrance which we developed. It took me 2 months to develop that fragrance. It was a mix of an Indian nargisi flower and a contemporary note, and it took 1 month to develop that fragrance, after a lot of elimination. So and it has a signature fragrance in all our restaurants. The moment you enter any restaurant of ours, it very nicely matches up with the smell of the food, and the whole thing is a very positive smell which comes out of that. Then the sense of touch. When you sit down on our tables, I carefully looked at what kind of material we are using, what people sit down and feel on the sofa, on the table, the kind of the crockery, what they're going to touch, what they're going to feel out of it. You see a old style crockery, touch it, you feel a little old style, and maybe you see a contemporary plate also around it. So then, from there, even your sense of, all your other senses, like the music was very carefully selected, a mix of old tracks sung by new artists. Then, the interiors with retro elements. Then, and obviously the sense of taste, the food being very authentic. So then I said, what can I do? So I said, okay, now we have to pivot to delivery. And that was necessity for us. So I had to do something to, pay our salaries. I made sure that, all our team who were, get paid for that time, lockdown time, even if I don't make profit, at least some cash flow comes out. So that was not a planned move. It was like, okay, let's just do it. We started delivery, and we went and listed on Zomato, Swiggy, just started delivery. And so I said, and I said, what can we innovate here? The innovation we did, I said, how can we apply the 5 senses to delivery as well? So we made the world's first concept. I can very proudly say it's the world's first ever concept for 5 senses delivery. And so what we did, I created a box. A box was, which shows the brand colors and everything. The food goes into that. You open the box. It gives you the sense of sight is the feel of that box. I mean, then the look of the box. Then the touch, the feel of the box, but the materials we used. Then obviously taste, the food is there. And then the 2 important ones. One was sense of smell. So the welcome note which goes with that is sprayed, is sprayed with the whiff of that same fragrance which is in the restaurant. So the moment the guy gets the order, he opens the envelope, he feels he's just got the whiff of the same fragrance of the restaurant. And the last one, the music. There's a QR code. I tied up with Ghana.com. We created a playlist specifically, Daryaganj studio. It's still there. It's a QR code. Anyone who opens the box, he puts his phone there. Same playlist of the restaurant starts playing. So you're sitting at home, feeling you can hear the same music of the restaurant, smell the same fragrance, and have the same food. That was the 5 senses delivery innovation we did. And, that's what we've been really awarded for that as well. And that was, I think, the first, which innovation came out of the necessity.
All of your journeys have been very inspirational, as we can see from the response of the audience. But apart from serving as an inspiration, we know that all's well that ends well, and hopefully continues well now also.
Yeah, and today delivery contributes 20% of our revenues, and we hadn't even expected to be contributing anything that time.
So innovation can, as we can see, can have very fruitful outcomes. So since we're talking about innovation in food retail, the first thing when we talk about these keywords is technology. Innovation and technology are more or less synonymous, especially in today's day and age. So how are you using technology, be it IoT, data analytics, or the like artificial intelligence to better increase your retail sales, or how is it impacting the industry overall? Mr. Singh, let's start with you.
So, for us in the QSR sector, I think data is the Bible, right? So it starts off from us mining enough information on per area code to figure out where to open a store. Competitive benchmarking, so you would want to open something, say, at Cyber Hub, but then you probably realize that, the footfall is enough, but is that your audience? So we got to answer that question with data. Now, once you've selected the site, there's certain projections, that's also data driven, on what you end up making from a particular site. Your rental is then based on that. And then you negotiate the site based on those rentals. Once you figure that piece out, then, once the store is live and running, now you're trying to figure out how to increase your average per ticket spend, what the competitor is doing, what your food cost looks like, how do you upsell, how do you downsell. But for us, the most important thing on the data front is where to open the store. And I think we've been good with that. We've got in-house technology, which has been developed by a bunch of IIT kids. We have a in-house analytics team, in-house AI. We've got in-house monitoring of the stores as well, which is through, AI and CCTV cameras. To see if now we're at 100 store, right? So at 100 store, monitoring becomes more important than anything else because the product is pretty much standardized. So data is an exceptionally big one. AI is an exceptionally big one. Developing new products is something that we're looking to understand from mining data from our customers on what they like and what they don't like. And lastly, we're trying to automate some of the cooking process as well. There is a interesting made in India company called Mukundan Foods that is developing a lot of products. Like they've got a wok that can do Chinese stuff on its own, not really needed. A human being is not required to kind of do that. They've got automated fryers. They've got automated pizza stuff. So we're trying to bring that also in because, as you scale, manpower also becomes a bit of a challenge. Good trained manpower whether they stick, whether they don't stick, all of those issues. India is inefficient, for lack of a better word. So technology is kind of bridging the gap that the country's culture or the governance hasn't been able to do now, which is a big move.
Mr. Chauhan, I have a similar question for you. It is regarding innovation and technology, of course, but I would like to ask you what are the challenges that you have encountered while growing your business, and how have you used technology to overcome it?
So, in continuation to what Kabir was mentioning, being a chef and being more of a scientist in the kitchen, my approach towards technology is totally different from what we're talking about, data mining and consumer behavior and so on and so forth. I think today, when you're talking about technology, so technology has also improved in such a manner that it is able to make food convenient. I mean, you would have never thought in your life 100 years back that you'll be able to have potato on the go, right? And something which has been fried 3 months back or 4 months back. So when it comes to technology, there is enough technology which is now today in the system, basically, where we are talking about things like freeze drying, things like vacuum frying, things like, retort is a sort of an old technology now as far as food technology is concerned. But yes, I feel that, technology has to go hand in hand with with whatever you're doing, whether you're doing food. For example, it is the help of the technology that is able to help us prevent adding, preservatives in your food today. You're able to cook food in a manner and pack in a manner where there is no additives or preservatives. Artificial thickeners, artificial flavors, any kind of, and in fact, I feel that technology-wise, I'll not be surprised if 3 years down the line you have, you're able to point a phone at your FMCG product and it'll be able to tell you that there are these additives because, reading ingredients is not it's easy, right? And it'll be, you'll be able to inform yourself or the artificial intelligence also coming into play there will be able to tell you what is the problem with the packet that, is lying in front of you. And, you'll be able to take a conscious decision whether to have it or not. So for me, technology is more than both my dear panelists think. I feel that, as a technician, as a food technician, as a food scientist, as a chef, I take that route of technology, and that's what we have done in our own both ventures where we have used technology, and you'll be very happy to know that our kitchens are actually primarily chefless. So being a chef, I had kind of also ensured that, I eliminate chefs from the cooking processes, and while I do that, I ensured that, the IP is also protected. That is another very, very big thing that you have to be careful about. And Coke wouldn't have been Coke had it not taken that route of protecting the IP and taken that approach. Over to you.
Mr. Bagga, I wanted to ask this question to you since we're talking about innovation. We have spoken about innovation in technology, but it is not just limited to that. Innovation also goes up to leadership, governance innovations, or innovation with respect to employee engagement and the like. So what are the trends in this regard with respect to the food industry or the retail sector? And how are you dealing with it, especially that we have come out from a lockdown right now? What are the key takeaways in the leadership innovation category?
Yes. So one thing which we have actually done with our team, we so we have a corporate team of a certain number, about 20 people, and then we have outlet teams of managers, chefs, and then junior people. So I always encourage this culture of innovation in the company. So because they see me creating new things all the time, and they feel that they feel that culture is there. Like apart from the packaging, I did 2 small innovations that I created. In Indian, we used to end with soft and mystery in a plate. People used to put their hands, everyone used to put their fingers into that. We created a separate box. The world's first soft mystery box, and we created that. Then there was a kulfi, used to be, drip in for, when the people used to have it. So we created a kulfi drip tray. So I created these examples for all of them that, this is what we have created. So they come up with new ideas, and we do a innovation meet every month for the managers and chefs. Actually, that's the best way for me to find which is the right talent to grow. Because I tell everyone, you give me whatever ideas you have. Even if you think it's bad, just talk. It could be good. Maybe you think it's bad, it could be good. So I encourage them to give new ideas, make them think. And some ideas actually come out very good. And, and we've implemented them, and they feel so happy that one idea we gave got implemented in that restaurant and it's going to be there forever. So that gives them that encouragement, and, it creates that atmosphere where people want to, innovate. And lockdowns, during the lockdown, we innovated we wanted to make sure our costs are in control. So we said, okay, and data helps a lot. Data analytics is something which I'm a very data-driven person. The decisions we take are very data-driven. So we looked at all the data. Okay, which hour, what is the number of people coming in, how many guests coming in, how many orders are being punched. Okay, let's plan all our, shifts accordingly. And if you have 5 orders, divide accordingly. Some orders may have more dusk at this hour, move the team here and there to reduce the cost as much as we can as a fixed cost. And a lot of different things we did there. So I feel that innovation innovation is very important to first imbibe in your team as a culture. They'll keep coming up with new ideas, encourage them, and reward them for that. And I would like to, I like to end with one line which I feel is something which I really believe in. It's about it was said by Steve Jobs that innovation is not just doing not just doing different things, it's about doing things differently.
Yes, sometimes we can take existing ideas and use it differently, and a receptive top leadership is very, very important for employees to feel free to present their ideas so that the organization also benefits. It's a symbiotic relation. So before I open the audience for questions, I would like to pose a final question for everybody on the panel. What is the future of innovation in food retail? Are we going to see more technology being used? Are we going to see some different kinds of innovations apart from technology? Or are we going to use technology differently? Mr. Singh, to start with you.
I think the future lies in kitchen automation. Like you said, removing chefs from the kitchen, and I think secondly, it'll be the logistics and supply chains. I think being able to get the right kind of raw material inside your store efficiently is going to be the next move.
Mr. Chauhan, your take?
I think in the future. One thing is very, very certain, that we'll have to be honest about what we are doing with what we are doing in terms of food. And even if you don't want to do that, you will have to do that because technology is coming to the aid, right? So I feel that from a future perspective, you have to be very mindful, very honest, and also today people want to be associated with the brands which have certain values also with it. For example, there are a lot of people who are becoming vegan because of sustainability, because of various other factors that come into play. So yes, it is not about just a business with a top line and with what it is doing. The values that the business is also carrying is something I feel will be very important in the times to come.
I think technology is going to be obviously driving all these changes, starting from kitchen automation to, how the AI, maybe say AI audits, a lot of different things. And, it's, in a QSR or a model which the gentlemen were talking about, is obviously it's totally going to be technology driven. In a model like ours, which is the casual dining model, even in that we are working towards how to, make sure we become more, more scalable. And trying to find a balance. A lot of people tell me that okay, if you want to do process food from a back end, either taste will be, the consistency will be there, but the taste will be, compromised. We are trying to find that balance where both are very well taken care of, and that's where we are trying to innovate and doing our R&D on that. And one thing is also, there are a lot of different changes happening, like a future I could, I've been reading about how cultured meat is coming up in the future. I mean, plant-based meat has not picked up that well, but I really feel that the cultured meat, which is made in the lab, could be, very good future for the food and food tech industry.
Yes, technology and innovation are the backbone of not just food, but all the industries. Even for us in the media, we rely heavily on technology. So with that, I would like to invite the audience, if they have any questions for our panelists. Can we have the mic, please? They're getting the mic.
So thank you so much. Very insightful, knowledge that you guys gave us. So one thing I want to ask, what are we doing in terms of food wastage? So a lot of food is wasted, in restaurants and, so many other places, in cafes. So what innovation is there in the food wastage sector so that it can be minimized?
So, let me answer this, please. I think, today, as far as the portion sizes are concerned, it has certainly gone down, for sure. Everybody will understand. People are being mindful of the fact that, you should not be ordering too much and wasting food. Yes, it's for a chef, it is very, very important to be mindful of the fact that what is going out is also what is coming in the kitchen back in terms of the food. Either it's not good food, or either it's you've served too much, or rarely people order too much. So there are enough. I think I recently came across a startup which was I don't remember the name, where they are wanting to collect the food which is waste food. In fact, there's a beer brand, I don't know, which also which picks up food from the restaurants and from hotels, which goes to waste, basically usually. Yeah. So there are innovations on this aspect as well. People are very opportunistic, and I mean, if there is something like this, yes, there are the way the technology also comes to help, right? I mean, if there is a wastage happening with every second, third plate which is coming in, then you reduce your portion, you reduce the prices as well. Probably, if you'd like.
I'd like to add on, yes, this is what we did in our restaurant also. We didn't want to keep the big portions. We kept smaller portions. So people can order as much as they feel they want to eat. They don't just get two people come and they order a big portion, it gets wasted. So we have portions for two. So, it can be multiples of two. They can order portions accordingly.
Do we have any more? Can we have the mic? This is the final question, following which you can connect off stage.
So, I don't know whether you are aware of the fact that today governments may have made it mandatory for all the hotels and big restaurant chains to ensure that your food, whatever your wastage is utilized. There are NGOs which also collect food from hotels. Also, it is very important for hotel to have a proper waste disposal system, whereas in the food, and in terms of a food, it can be, of course, converted into a biogas, as well as the manure for plants as well. But at the end of the day, you might feel that there is a lot of food being wasted. It used to happen earlier, but these days it is not happening as much as it used to happen earlier. For example, the solution that we are giving, for example, I mean, our product is a gravy which is in a frozen format. So regardless whether it's a 1,000 people party, all you have to do is, take out small portions and prepare it and make it ready. So, as I said, I mean, there are various steps, and it's not only us that we are doing. There are various, things happening all around where people are being, mindful of the fact that, wastages should not happen. So.
Okay, with that, we have to conclude our panel discussion for the day, and I would like to thank everybody for taking out time and providing insights on their journey and the food industry at large. Thank you so much. Okay, please.
That you serve to.
So what we do is we do population density for sure, socioeconomic background. We look at car ownership, which kind of tells you the household wealth. We try with Nielsen's help. We try and get education background as well. So that's the core over there. Over and above that, we kind of start loading what the competitor landscape looks like. And we've got enough sources to kind of mine their data as well, who's doing what. And so we say, okay, this place has got 8 burger joints. All of them are doing 20 lakhs each. Probably not the best place to go into. Maybe a few kilometers, the demographic doesn't change drastically. So those are decision-making points on where to open the store, and then it also leans into what rentals to pay off. On the product taste and how that changes, North Indian food is a very large part of what is sold online. Don't quote me on this data, but I'd say about 29% of everything sold online is North Indian food. QSR is ramping up fairly quickly, and we are at a really interesting place where we have Punjabi food and QSR. Now, for us to change the product based on taste preferences is not viable. We work at scale. Everything that we produce gets produced at a processor's plant, say at Godrej Tyson or ITC. We pick up 20 tons of a same product and we bring it through cold change to our stores. So it's pretty much same. And then that's an upside. There's a downside. The upside is there's no wastage. Our wastage percentages are 0.10 across the system. And that 0.10 is onions, and that's it. But the downside of that is you pretty much have to deal with whatever Kabir Singh is serving you. You can like it or you can not like it. It's up to you. Don't eat.
The others can contribute. Do you understand the preferences? I mean, this is a common retail problem in the Indian demography.
So we being a CDR business, which an average per person spend of 800, 900 rupees, we do look at different data, like there are, available data of, the population and what is the demographics we do look at. But one very important factor is that what are the kind of restaurants around that area and what kind of business they are doing. Also, I'll give an example that one of the best locations in Delhi, Ansal Plaza, South X is the highest, rental. It's totally failed, because there's a very bad brand mix. And I'll give another example. 4 years back, when I was starting my first restaurant in Aerocity, Worldmark Aerocity, every brand had rejected that location because there's no residential around. There's not this. Those levers didn't work. They all said, "Oh, all these we cannot do it." When I went there, I saw one very good opportunity. I said, first of all, the operator is very good. They made a very nice, beautiful development here. And what is going to be more important now is the brand mix which is going to come here. So what is working very well, a good mix of 15, 20 good brands can go into any location. People will there'll be a pull factor, X factor for anyone to come for those brands. It becomes a hub. So that's what I saw, that, all good brands are signing up with us. This is the right time to sign it. We signed it, and today it's one of the most successful outlets for us and most successful location in Delhi for retail. But no one expected anyone to, come from, because this is the airport area none of the things looking like they will work, So it's a lot of, for us, this also works a lot.
I would, at the end, I would like to, share my thoughts here, which is totally different from both my panelists, in the sense that, again, I look at it from a chef perspective. I feel that, your tongue doesn't lie to you when it comes to taste. Your eyes might fool you, but your tongue cannot. The moment you put your food on your tongue, it's a yes or a no. So I feel that, then there's no food which has become famous is good or bad. Although the fact of the matter is that we feel that 80% success in food industry is 100% success, because you can't satisfy every palate. So having said that, I certainly feel that apart from the it's not a bad dish. It's a dish which is not cooked in the right way. Let me put it that way, and that's what I personally feel. You do good food, people will come to you. Thank you.
With that, I would like to thank everybody again for joining us, and please step to the center stage for a photograph.
Thank you so much.